Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, the 23rd of May. It's 8:01 London time. Thank you for joining us. I will wait a minute or so for a few people. Sometimes it takes a bit of time to log in and what have you. So I'll just wait a couple of seconds before we get started. As usual, please take a moment to read the disclaimer. Trading is risky. Know what you're doing. Myself, for the people that haven't been to these webinars before, my name's Anil, Head of Trader Education. Over 20 years experience trading everything really from futures, bonds, commodities, Forex, with the only exception of stocks. I'm not really a good stock trader. I provide trader education. I mentor students who are interested in trying to financial markets. And my speciality really is algo trading. But today, and these webinars really are about price action and market structure and how to utilize these to look for trading opportunities. Just on a quick introduction about myself, we're going to do some market analysis. I always welcome any requests from participants if they want me to look at a particular currency or anything really. We can pull up a chart if it's available on the ZenFinex platform, and we can go through the same process I do on all my market structure trading. We're going to take a look at a few things: the euro, the British pound, the FTSE, the Nasdaq, gold, oil, and a couple of maybe JPY, and maybe even the Japanese index as well, the 225. So the reason for that is it's actually displaying some interesting trends. I'm also going to be looking to show you how to utilize the free plus ZenFinex tools and how you can get access to them. It's all free, and we're going to look at how we can look for trade setups utilizing those very same tools. And we'll come back to this, but I'm really more keen to, and I'm sure you guys are as well, to look at charts. So let's pull up some charts. And the first one I want to look at is some analysis that we did on Thursday. I will get rid of all these lines in a minute, but I want to show you what we analyzed on Thursday. And if I go from a daily perspective, in fact, it might be better to do a 4-hourly perspective so you can see. So we were really looking at this structure here. This hadn't appeared. We said that the likelihood is that prices will fall down. I think they were coming down here when we were looking at it. Moved away, came back into the area, hit exactly where we thought it would pull back to, and gave us a very, very nice clean gold trade going south, a sell opportunity. So if you were around for Thursday and you use the same kind of methodology as I do, or I try to teach, then you would have a nice winning trade here. We looked at the FTSE 100, and we concluded really that it's kind of stuck for the last, let's go back to daily, which it is, it's just been going up and down. There's no real emphasis on up or down. It's at the 618 fib level, so we'll be watching that. But literally for the last, X number of days, 10 days, it's just been going up and down, up and down. Great for range trading. But I do think that we will get a breakout. At the moment, not enough information to determine if that breakout is going to be on the upside or downside, but we will watch it on a regular basis. And we looked at the British pound, nothing really interesting. We did mark a high here. There was a potential trade here, but we didn't really do too much analysis. As I said, what I'm going to do in a second, I'm going to get rid of all the lines, and then we'll start from top down again. And oil from a daily perspective, it's been in this range from 82 to 64. It's about the middle of the range. It's looking to consolidate here, and whenever you get a consolidation, we're really going to be looking for a breakout and a pullback. I can't tell from here if the price is going to go up or down, because it literally, if I just magnify that, we can just see that it's just been stuck. Let's draw the consolidation zone here. Really, since then, it's just been going sideways, created some highs, bounced back, came back to it, and now it's right smack in the middle. So this is not something that I'd be very interested in trading because we don't know which direction the trend is. The euro dollar, let's come out a little bit. And we looked at this channel literally for a couple of weeks, I think, maybe a week and a half, where we've been looking at this channel and seeing the weakness. It's pulled back to the top of that channel into this area. And if I just draw a little bit, get a bit closer, we said on Thursday, I believe, or may have been Tuesday, that this weakness, if it pulls back into this area here, which it did almost to the pip, it would have given us a nice opportunity here. So this is what we were really looking at. So a couple of nice trade setups that we kind of identified utilizing this market structured approach. We've already looked at the no, we didn't look at the NASDAQ. We said that the NASDAQ was in its up channel, looking to hit this mid level here, where it's right now. After this kind of move, you know, there are two things that can happen. And anybody who knows me, you know, I try to present an argument for both sides and see which one has the higher probability. So we can see here that after this trend down, if I draw a trend down, and I will, by the way, remove all these lines and start again. So this downward move has stopped. It consolidated in this area here. Doing it very roughly here. And now it broke out, came back, revisited, and it's really on a daily basis just been grinding upwards. It's just at the point where it looks like it may break this peak here. Let me put a cursor on here. And if it does continue going up, it will pull back, and then we'll be looking for an opportunity to continue the move up. One caveat of this, obviously, is this situation. I think I've mentioned it before in the webinars, the debt ceiling in the States. That's obviously going to have a big impact. I believe they're still negotiating. And I think in the next 7 days, something will happen where we'll be able to see what that happens, and we'll see if we can find some trading opportunities around the new paradigm. We did a call on the USD JPY at a request from one of our attendees. I showed them the ABC pattern. It did exactly what it was supposed to do, came back to the 50% level. And I think when we were looking at it, it was really just hovering around this level here. We expected it to pull back, which it did. Sometimes it pulls back to the 38, but in this case, it pulled back to the 50%, and then it's just been grinding up. Finding a level of consolidation between the 100 and the 127 fib levels. Often when it gets to the 127 level, it will come and retest this, and we'll be looking to see, you know, if it's going to retrace some of this back, or whether the uptrend is going to continue going up to that point there. So let's, now that we've done a bit of a recap, let's do what I always do. So everybody should have taken a snapshot of that. I'm going to get rid of everything now. Just really start again, basically. So let's just delete all these lines here. And we'll start again how I do my market structure analysis with a naked chart. So let's just start from the weekly perspective. Right. As I mentioned before in our webinars, even if you're trading intraday, it's good to see if there are any areas that we need to be looking at. And, you know, one of the most immediate things is, from a weekly perspective, is this triple top. Every time it came to this, revisited, it came down. Every time it came back to this level, went slightly higher, probably to flush out a bit of liquidity, which it probably would have done. And then it immediately retreated, and it's now starting to grind its way down. So obviously the double top, triple top worked in this scenario. think I showed you what, by drilling down, we found some areas where we could trade that. And we'll look for some more setups as we go along. And just see if there's any questions. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any, or any requests for me to look at any charts. So we start from the weekly. We look at areas that might be interesting to us. So we can see we're trying to frame the market here. And what we can see here is if we drill down and zoom out a little bit, and this is what I do for every instrument I ever trade. I start from the weekly, start framing the market to see if I can find areas where, zones where we can look to see if we can trade. So let's just draw a channel here, because we can see a channel here from a daily perspective. So obviously after this downward move back from February, remember this is a daily perspective, it's been showing strength, pulled back, went higher, went higher than this level here, and then it's sort of been consolidating, hit the triple top and retreated. Now we're at a very key area. Is the inclination for it to continue going up, or is it going to come and retest this area here? And if I draw an area that we might be interested in, is this area here from a daily perspective. And we'll zoom in a little bit. So what we can see here, we've got the triple top here. It's been pulling back to almost this level of resistance, broke through resistance, became support, 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 in conjunction with the lower part of the channel. So we're really at quite a critical point here. Is it going to keep going up and down between these levels and consolidate more, or is it going to come and try to come back and revisit these areas here? If I now go to a 4-hourly basis, we'll get a little bit more of an idea. We're looking for shorter term trade, what area we could look at. So hopefully you can see, by even starting from the weekly, daily, now we're into the 4-hourly, we're starting to get a very clear picture, or clearer picture, of where our buy should be. So if we just summarize it, we've hit some all-time highs. It's been in a channel, hasn't quite got to the top of the channel, which shows a weakness in momentum, which means that it didn't have enough energy to come and test this area at the moment. There could be an opportunity where if it hits this and starts breaking out of here, that we could see this level being tested if there's strength. So let's just see if we can draw some of this up. So let's just look at the price action we're witnessing as we speak. Let me just zoom in a bit. So we can see this level at 1960, providing a level of support. And this is just, and sometimes people ask me, is it this, or is it here, or is it here, or is it here? For me, for the purposes of this exercise, it's really just eyeing up where the price action hit these levels the most. And we're right at this level here now. And if we just follow through from when it broke, consolidated, went to the upside, came back into this zone here. And I think I did, from one of my earlier webinars, have a consolidation zone here, where prices rapidly moved away, came back in this area here, and then bounced off. Not convincingly. It could have, easily have tested this, but it didn't. So now that shows us that we are very much from a weakening perspective on the 4-hourly. If I go on the daily, that confirms it as well. So we can see here, after this consolidation, broke out to the upside, came back, retested it, gave us an opportunity to go long, wasn't a particularly strong long, and eventually came back and breaking out of this consolidation area that we marked up a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And now we're looking to see, is this now an opportunity for it to break out of this channel and head back into this area here? And so that's what I'm going to be looking at. Again, you know, gold is going to be affected by fundamental news, particularly as it's happening, what is happening with the debt ceiling in the States. So we're going to be looking at this area very carefully. So what am I going to be looking at? If we do get a break out of this channel, there are some areas that we need to be aware of. For example, here, even this area here, we can see it broke support, broke through it, came back to it, messed around with it. So there's a good chance that if we break on the downside, it could come and have a look at the sort of 1900s again, 1907, something like that. So that would be an area that if we are able to find a short opportunity, look to get out here for half our trade if we're doing a double trade. And then the second part will be down to here. If, for example, it continues going sideways, and let's just see if we can find any fib levels which might be able to help us. So let's just draw a Fibonacci level here on this swing to that swing. And we can see here that, and I will do a webinar on Fibonacci's, but effectively have this retracement back into the 50% level. And the line that we drew here at 1907, coincidentally, is at the 618. So this is actually a really interesting area, because this area here between the 618 and the 50% retracement will probably determine a break out of it. So from a short-term perspective, you know, if we break this 1958 level, there's a good chance it will come and retest. Not much of a move, but enough, you know, for an intraday trade. Let's just see if I can get a bit closer to it. That. So it's starting to become a little bit clearer now from an intraday perspective. So we've got our 50% fib level, we've got the bottom of our channel, and we've got the 618 level. All these are providing areas where we know prices could come and test and bounce off. So at the moment, it's stuck at this this sort of area here. Remember, we drew it from the 4-hourly perspective, and that is based upon a number of interactions that happened over, you know, over a month or so, something like that, maybe a couple of months, right to that point. So that's the. If there's any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me, and I'll try to explain if you're not understanding exactly what I'm saying here. So from an hourly perspective, we are looking at the bottom of the channel, the 50% fib level, and the 618. Now, how to play this particular trade. So let's just watch from an intraday perspective what happened. Consolidated, broke out the consolidation, retest the consolidation, couldn't get past this point here, which still indicates some level of weakness. And if that weakness continues, it will come down and test the bottom of the channel, the 50% and the 618. So there is a chance. Let's see if we can draw where we would be looking to get in. So let's see, magnify this a little bit. Now what I'm going to start doing is looking to see if I can find some short opportunities. We've still got this consolidation large area here, and we can see it's interacted with it a couple of times. So I would want to see prices retrace back up to here. Let's see if I can draw a line sort of around there, and then head, if I just now down here, first the bottom of the let's see if I can extend that a little bit. First to the bottom here, and then to the 618. So if you're going to do a split trade where you take half your profits at the bottom of the channel and then head for the 618, that's kind of what I'm seeing. Let's see how that pans out over the next, and I'll leave these lines up so we can see if it did what we thought. First target, second target, pull back into this area here, may go all the way back up to here actually, and then take a trip to the 618. So let's watch that over the next couple of days. What should we look at next? So that was gold. We've mentioned before the FTSE 100. It's stuck from a daily perspective in this sort of consolidation around the 618 fib level, and can't really get a handle on, particularly if it hangs around too long for the 618, shows that it could actually continue coming down. So what it's done, using this as a swing, it went past the 618, back to 618, and it could come and revisit some of these areas here. So let's just, not much we can see here. Let's drill down a little bit further. In fact, why don't I get rid of all these lines and do a top-down approach, as I promised I would. So let's do that and see if there's anything that we've missed, which is why I do this every single time. Get rid of everything. It only takes a couple of minutes to get them back. And with a naked chart, you might start seeing other things. So as we do, we look at the weekly. We are seeing a level of resistance here. We're seeing a level of support here. And we can see interaction here, bounced off it, broke it, support. So we know that this 7198, which is probably more 7200, it's only 2 pips away from that. So I'm going to make that 72. Let's leave it at that. It's just a rough guide for now. And then we go down to the daily. So now we have a frame where, from a major weekly perspective, this is our sort of area that we need to focus our energy on. So where do we have levels on the daily perspective? We can see that there's some resistance here. I'll bring that down just a little bit more, because more interactions, the better. And now we've also got some levels below it. Obviously, there's this one, but I'm actually thinking it's probably this one here, because of this area here. Interaction, resistance, support, and we're now in the middle of this range here. So if I now go to a 4-hourly perspective, and this is why I was saying that the FTSE looks a little bit ugly in terms of not giving us much idea about direction. Obviously, if you're a range trader, you sell the tops, buy the bottoms, it is ideal. But I'm a trend trader, and I tend to look for areas of breakouts and retests. So we can see that this area here is an area of consolidation. And just going back to my daily for a second, we can see the fib level is about there. I'm being, not exactly to the point, because I want to kind of match it with, what is actually happening. So I can also see a potential another fib for the retracement here. So if I just draw that in, do forgive me if you believe there's too many lines here, but they do serve a purpose, because one of the other ways to trade fibs is confluence, where you have a number of fibs all meeting at the same point, and they start providing areas. In this case, not really. So I might just delete that. Oops, I think I've deleted everything else. So let's just put that here. So from a daily perspective, the high, the low, we're at that 618 level. You'll notice I didn't go exactly to the bottom of that wick. And probably because this also is showing much more sort of heavier level than it just spike. So it just spiked, but this is probably the true level. And exactly, yeah, you may think I'm trying to curve fit the 618, but it does make sense. And we're back to this consolidation zone around here, and we need a breakout before we have any trading ideas around that. So hopefully you can see by doing the same thing, you more or less get to the same conclusions. There's nothing else I can see. Maybe a channel, a downward channel. But I'm not even sure if that's particularly interesting to me. So we've drawn this sort of slightly downward channel. It'll be interesting to see if it hits this channel here and then continues coming down to follow this channel, or nothing. I can't see anything really on the FTSE that can give me an indication of whether it's going to go up or down. So I'm actually going to get rid of this channel. It's just adding more noise. Let's get rid of that. So that's where we are with the FTSE. Let's take a quick look at the British pound. And I'm going to get rid of all these lines and start again from the top-down approach. Let's get rid of everything first. Let's start from a weekly perspective and start framing where we are now. So from a weekly perspective, this is an area of support. So from a weekly perspective, that's a very strong level of resistance. If I now go to the daily perspective, we can see here that I could probably find another level. So let's just see why we've put on there. Broke through resistance, 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 support, support, support. So we're right up, for the British pound perspective, at a level of support. What else can we see here? We can see that after touching this weekly level of resistance, it's come back down. So you could class this as a double top. And from a double top, you want to kind of be cautious, but a selling is it's more likely to go down than it is to go up. So let's have a look from a 4-hourly perspective if there's anything else which might be of interest to us. So let's see if this channel looks interesting here. We can see here really the British pound has, from this long move down, this whole long move down. Let me see if I can draw a line here. You consider that as a downtrend, and it's broken that downtrend from a daily perspective. I'm not going to keep that in there because it's a bit crude there. Let's get rid of that. Now let's get to the 4-hourly. So we can see that the bias actually is on the upside. But like everything at the moment, a lot of consolidation going on. Hit the resistance, and it's back into this level of consolidation here. We have another level of resistance, resistance, support, support, support. We're back exactly at that point here. And where do we want to look to go? So we can see there are areas that we want to be a little bit careful of. So why have we drawn this? We've drawn this because it's starting from this point, came back, retested it, and then it continued going up. Had another retest there until it reached that double top from a daily and weekly perspective. And then it's really retreated from that double top. Is it going to come back down to this level here? So this is very interesting. If we maintain and hold this level here, then there's a chance it will go back and retest the other, the previous high that it made. However, it's more likely to continue going down. Let's see if we can draw something that will guide us in terms of our idea of a downward trend. Back to channels. So we do see this downward channel heading to this level of support. Is it going to come and retest these areas here? And back and continue. So this is the only thing that's holding it up, really. If this holds, then there's a good chance it's going to go upwards and retest these areas here. Or if it breaks this orange level, it'll come and retest these previous lows, and that will then confirm to us that we're in a much more downward biased trade. Let's go to the oil. Not that interesting. It's been going sideways. I'm not going to spend too much time on oil. And we talked about the trade hitting exactly where we wanted to from I think from last Thursday or last Tuesday. And I think that's about it. What I really want to do now is just have a look at news and some of the trade ideas from the Plus Zenfinex tools. So if we just go to this area here, I'll show you how to log into the free Zenfinex Plus portal, which those of you who are new, we have a number of tools there which are made available to our clients for free. And the main ones I'm going to focus on are the technical views, the featured ideas, and the economic insights. So the economic insights are really a very sophisticated calendar. The reason why it's sophisticated is because it allows you to see, first of all, what upcoming news events there are. But more than that, and further than that, we can do a little bit of analysis in terms of what happened at last month's news event. So this PMI, flash PMI, last one was on April the 21st. And 1 hour after that news announcement of last month, it kind of immediately came down for the first hour, and within 4 hours, it more or less got back to almost exactly where it started. So that's interesting. And those PMI figures were, previous was 52, and I am talking about the April numbers. 52 forecast, it went slightly higher, but didn't really impact the price of the British pound. So it's quite a good way of looking at, what was announced last time. So we can see here the forecast is 55.3, so hardly any movement predicted. So I don't actually see that much movement in the pound have a look at it at 9:30. You might see something. Later on, we got some PMI figures from the States, which will probably have an impact on the dollar and on the indices. And probably new home sales will be quite interesting this time around. If I just have a quick look. So what they are predicting is less. So new home sales, previous month was 683. They're expecting a drop of about 13. If we look at what the impact was last time round from the previous month in April 25th, the previous was 623. Forecast was higher, and it went even higher than the forecast. And the impact on the euro dollar was that it weakened the euro dollar. So in effect, weakened the euro and strengthened the dollar. And that's what it did 4 hours. So this, this particular tool is really useful for those who like to trade news, because you're able to look at past events and see how they affected the price last month. And you can even go back further and see actual forecast, and how that fundamental news has affected the price of the euro dollar. So it's quite a nice tool. The other tool that, and you can look at my previous webinars, I go into a lot more detail in terms of what they mean, but they effectively provide trading ideas, featured ideas. So they're looking at, let's look for something that's more conventional. So let's look at the British pound against the CAD. So this was spotted, it's the 23rd today, so it's spotted on the May 23rd for a period of up to 12 hours. And on the 1 hour pattern, we found a hammer, which is this bar here, which usually indicates strength. That's why they're being bullish. A bullish event triggered with slow stochastics. So also using like the pin bar or hammer in conjunction with the stochastics to give a bullish or a buy signal here. So again, it's worth checking out, and you're able to sort of look at not only from a perspective from looking for trade ideas, but also learning some of the ways that other analysts look at trade setups basically. And the technical views, you can see here if I just select the G7, so we're only looking at the major currencies, we're seeing that British pound is showing some weakness. Remember, when we looked at our charts, we were kind of coming up with the same conclusion. Let's just double check. Let's have a look at our charts again. The British pound. Although we have a weakness, right, we have got levels that we need to be careful of. So let's see how they deal with that. USD may fall 21 to 41 pips, and they probably got similar lines, but what I'm trying to teach you is how to use, how to do it yourself basically. I don't use any RSIs or Bollinger Bands or moving averages because in the 20 years that I've been trading, I've eliminated everything from my charts and just stick to price action, levels, patterns, because they seem to be the most consistent. And I just feel comfortable with them. I know how to find trades based upon those levels, but here they're kind of showing how they're using moving averages, and but there for you to have a look. And let's see, and the euro dollar also looking under pressure. Let's see what we were coming up with. We were seeing the same thing, although we didn't go into an in-depth on the euro dollar. But this was our trade weakness, I go to a higher time frame, we have a downward channel. So their ideas are kind of congruent with the way that I approach things, in the sense that, you know, I do a top-down approach, look at what's happening recently, look for consolidation areas, look for channels, look for fib levels, and then look for areas where I want to take retests or pullbacks from those areas. I mean, that in a nutshell is the strategy. So if I now go back to our main slides, so we can see here, and you know, all you got to do really is go to this website, sign up for free access. It's free, so there's no you know, costs or memberships or anything like that. It's all free, and I think it's a great way of adding tools to your you know, your toolbox, if you like, for when you're looking to do trades, either as confirmations, or if you're brand new, see how others are kind of coming up with you know, their trade ideas, including me. You know, I'm using my approach, which is top down. We do have a live trading room, which will be launched very, very shortly, where I'll be actually placing live trades. And if those of you are interested in that, you know, just send me an email and I'll add you to a live trading room where we are able to, you know, place live trades, etc. So I'm just going to check to see if there's any questions, and if there's no questions, I was doing like 1 hour webinars, but I think 45 minutes is probably a better time, maybe even 30 minutes. I'll just see how these go along. But obviously for the live trading rooms, they're on for much longer, but I'm not talking all the time. We have other people who assist and help. And I look forward to receiving your email or seeing you in the live trading room when it's up and running. On that note, thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you on Thursday for the next webinar, the regular webinars.